Hello everyone. Hello. I'm going to talk about adjectives, a special kind of adjective called a participial adjective. That's a complicated name, but you'll recognize these words because you see them. You definitely see them almost every day. Okay, but they are a type of adjective. Just to review what an adjective is, an adjective usually describes a noun. So, for example, you might use them before a noun, like you might say nice job. Nice is the adjective, right? You might say red shirt, where red is the adjective. You might say green day. Uh, the day is green, right? A very long engagement. So long is an adjective that describes engagement. You can use adjectives after some kinds of verbs, like the verb is or are or was or were. Um, like you are late. Late is an adjective. In this case, it's coming after the verb are, and it describes the noun you. Right? So this snow tastes strange. This snow tastes strange. So taste is another kind of adjective that you can use. Sorry. Taste is another kind of verb that can use an adjective after it. Right? So this snow tastes strange. So we're talking about the snow, and it is strange, and the way I know that is because it tastes that way. Okay, and adjectives often take these special kinds of adverbs. Adverbs are, of course, words like really or quickly or nicely. It takes kinds of adverbs that are called adverbs of intensity, where the adverb tells you how strong that feeling or that characteristic is. So you can be tired or a little tired or very tired. And adjectives can take those kinds of adverbs, but verbs can't, right? So you can say, I'm very tired, but you can't say, I very study, right? Or I very run. So adverbs of intensity come with adjectives, but not verbs, usually. Okay. So don't panic if you don't know what these words like adverb or intensity mean. The main point of this video will be a little bit later. Well, let's practice using some adjectives. I wonder if you can use some adjectives to describe this character. So let's see, adjectives like funny. He is funny, right? Or friendly is an adjective, so he looks friendly. Cute is an adjective. He seems cute. That is a cute toy, right? So I used some adjectives to describe this guy. He sure seems friendly. On the other hand, let's review what a verb is, because we're going to be comparing some adjectives to verbs in a way that might be a little confusing if we don't know what a verb is. So a verb is a word that usually describes some kind of action or sometimes a state, but usually an action. And verbs can change form, right? So a verb can be the same as it looks in the dictionary. Like you can say, I like to play guitar. So play in that case will look exactly the same as it does in the dictionary. Or in the simple present, if you're talking about yourself, it will also look the same as it does in a dictionary. I play guitar, right? Of course, if I talk about another person, then it'll change. It'll say he plays guitar, right? So the verb can change form. But two forms that we're going to focus on in this video are these two that you see here. I am playing guitar, and guitars are played in many genres. So these two forms have special names. They're called participles, right? Playing we call the present participle, and played we call a past participle. And these are not the same as saying present tense or past tense. For many reasons, but for now, let's just remember that when we say ing for this video, we're talking about a present participle. When we talk about ed, we're usually talking about a past participle, okay? Not the past tense. Okay, so some adjectives look like verbs, and this is a little confusing. But if you look at these two sentences, you might see that this adjective, amazing, has the same form as a verb, speaking, They both have ing on them, right? But we know that one of them is an adjective and one of them is a verb. Now, this dog is amazing. You won't be able to hear this actually, but I recommend you Google Odie the Pug and watch this video yourself because he is speaking in the video and he is amazing. Okay. So, this adjective amazing looks just like a verb. It looks like a verb that ends with ing, just like running or speaking or playing. And then there are some other adjectives that look like another form of a verb. So the boss was fired. Fired. Okay, so that's a verb. In this case, it's passive voice. So the boss was fired means somebody fired him or her. Or the boss was disappointed. Now this is an adjective, but it looks exactly like the verb, right? It ends with ed. It comes after was, right? It looks just like a verb in a particular form. So how do I know that this is an adjective? Well, I just know, and with many of the adjectives we'll talk about today, you really just have to learn them one by one, case by case, to know that they are adjectives. Okay. So they're adjectives. They're a special kind of adjective. We call them a participial adjective. We call them participial adjectives. The reason is that they come from participles of verbs. So we talked about present participles with ing and past participles with ed. So these participial adjectives come from those forms of verbs, but they're not verbs anymore. Now they're adjectives. Okay. Because we have these two forms of the verb that can become adjectives, the present participle and the past participle, adjectives that, let's see, participial adjectives also come in pairs very often. You'll usually have two of them. There'll be interesting, that looks like a present participle, and there'll be interested, that looks like a past participle. And you'll also have exciting and excited, and you'll have confusing and confused. And sometimes you'll see a new one that you've never seen before. You might see disgusted, and maybe you've never seen that word before. But you see, oh, he was so disgusted by the food. And you see that that's looks like a past participle, but it's an adjective because it comes with, it came in the sentence, he was so, right? So you know it's an adjective, and because you know that these words often come in pairs, you can guess that it must have a partner, disgusting. And it does. So there are two of these words, right? Disgusted and disgusting. And when you see a participial adjective, it will usually have a twin brother, twin sister. It can help to think of these words as like the children of a verb. So the verb disgust had two children. The children are disgusting and disgusted. Disgusting children. And both of them have grown up. So they're adults now and they have their own lives. So maybe they don't call their parent very often. That's like what a participial adjective is like for a verb. Sometimes they have a close relationship and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're quite different. Okay. So, let's give an example of how a verb and its adjectives can be quite different. Let's take a verb and then the two adjectives. Let's say the verb is disturb, which is a real verb. There's an adjective disturbing based on the present participle, and there's an adjective disturbed based on the past participle. And both of these adjectives have grown up and they have their own lives now. They don't have exactly the same meaning as disturb anymore. In fact, the meaning is pretty different now. So disturb, you might know if you've ever stayed in a hotel in the United States from the little thing you hang on the door that says do not disturb. Disturb is like bother, right? If someone disturbs you, they might knock on the door and say, do you want fresh towels? So that's disturbing you, and you hang this on the door when you don't want that, okay? For private reasons, okay? But the adjective disturbing that's based on the present participle does not mean like annoying. It's more like disgusting, or just a little bit gross, or it makes you have bad thoughts. That's disturbing. So this piece of watermelon that has ants on it could be disturbing, or like a ghost, or a scary story, or some news that you hear that something bad happened somewhere in the world that could be disturbing. Okay, so it's not the same as the verb disturb. And the adjective disturbed is different too. Disturbed as an adjective usually means a person that has mental problems. Okay, you could say, "Oh, dude, he's really disturbed. That guy's so disturbed," and it means like they're a little bit crazy. Okay, so again, the meaning of these two adjectives is different, and both of them are different from the verb disturb. Disturbed is also the name of a band called the Disturbed, and they call themselves that because they want to sound like they're a little bit crazy. He looks a little disturbed. Okay. So again, why these are adjectives and not verbs, you can tell by the meanings, if you know the meanings of these words. You can also tell from the grammar. Remember that an adjective can always come before a noun. Okay, not always. Almost always come before a noun. But a verb, a present participle verb, can't always do that. You could have an amazing dog. That's an adjective. It's a little strange to say he's a speaking dog, or at least that's not the most common way you would say that. You would probably say he's a dog who speaks, or something like that. And you definitely can't have the full verb phrase before a noun. So he's an eating food dog. That's not normal English grammar. Okay. And they also can take adverbs of intensity. So that's another area where the grammar can tell you these are adjectives, not verbs. So you can have a really boring subject, and here boring has to be an adjective because it's coming with the adverb really, really meaning like very. Okay. You can have comparatives, like that's a more interesting movie than Star Wars, especially the new Star Wars, right? So you can use a more blank with an adjective, but not necessarily with a verb. You wouldn't say he's a more jogging person than I am, right? You could say that lunch was totally disgusting. I hated that lunch. You wouldn't say the lunch was totally cooked, or the lunch was very chopped. That salad was very chopped. That's not normal English grammar, because chopped we still think of as just a verb, not an adjective. But of course, disgusting is an adjective. Okay? So as for the meaning, and here's the place where most of my students have the most difficulty. You have these two adjectives, and they're sort of related, but sometimes you don't know which one you should use, right? For example, is this video confusing or is this video confused, right? Is this video boring or is this video bored? So the way you can tell which one you need to use is thinking of causing the effect or feeling the effect. The ing adjectives, the present participle adjectives are all about causing the feeling. Okay, so when it ends with ing, it causes that effect. Like something is boring, it makes people feel that way. If something is confusing, it makes people feel that way. Okay, so waiting is boring because waiting makes people feel like that. Okay. Are the people boring though? Are the people causing that feeling? No. The people are not boring because the people are not causing the feeling to other people, right? You could say a comedian is boring if the comedian makes you feel like that, not interested, right? Like I'm not interested. Then you can say a person is boring because they're causing that effect. But when the person is feeling the effect, you use the other adjective, you use the ed adjective. So the ed, the past participle adjective, is about having the feeling or feeling the effects. So if you are bored, it means you are feeling that effect. Something is causing that and making you feel, right? That's the sound I make when I'm bored. So I'm bored because I'm watching a boring grammar video. boring video is causing me the effect, so I feel bored. In this example here, the boy is amused because the boy is feeling the effects from the TV. Is the TV amused? Is the TV show amused? No. TV shows cannot be amused because TV shows don't have feelings, right? TV shows can cause the feeling to other people, right? So the TV show is amusing, but the TV show is not amused, right? So let's do a little bit of practice. Some of you might have seen this picture before. This is Ben Affleck and the other guy whose name I forgot, being asked about a movie that they were both in. And how do you think he feels right now? If you're talking about his feelings, you want to use the ed adjectives here, right? Because he's feeling the effect of something. So he looks disappointed. He seems a little confused. Maybe he feels not disgusted. Maybe he feels a little bit bored. He feels tired, I think. He's tired of being interviewed, right? So he's feeling these effects. So I want to use the ed adjectives here. What a disappointed man. He's disappointed. I don't mean he's making me feel disappointed. I mean he looks disappointed. Like someone told him he did a bad job. Okay. And actually, they're being interviewed about this movie. I don't know if you saw this movie, but this movie caused some effects to different people. It caused some people to feel scared. So maybe this movie is, okay, scared is a little bit unique because it's scary, not scaring, but the movie was scary. I thought this movie was a little bit boring. So this movie caused an effect of being bored, right? This movie is a little confusing. I never really understand how Superman's powers work, so for me it was a little confusing, right? So again, it caused that effect. It was supposed to be interesting, but I didn't like it. I didn't think it was interesting. I thought it was boring. What a boring movie. Except for the action scenes. The action was good. The action was thrilling. The action was exciting, right? Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope this helped make clear a little bit for you the difference between a verb and an adjective and why some adjectives look like verbs, and then also how you use these two types of adjectives that are based on participles. Thanks.